course, this will get clipped out. I'll do my. I'm gonna do my magic,
bro. Do you? I'm telling you, I'm the best guest you've ever had. Best guest you've ever had. I don't worry. I don't stress. I don't stress nothing, bro. Watch out. I'm gonna text you. Damn, bro, you couldn't cut that out.
Go ahead, speak to that mic.
These mics will be able to catch if I'm. Oh, damn, it's far from you. So
I'm hearing everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't let these go. Oh. That's the problem. Now I gotta be everywhere.
Damn, I don't get headphones.
No, you're the guest. You got, you're the best guest I got. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm cool. I appreciate the energy in here. It's dope.
Yes.
Feel like I'm with family, so
that's exactly how we like it, baby. And the coffee's good.
Nah, for sure. You gotta let people know that this is coffee too.
Bro, this is
because
coffee.
It'd be like, it's coffee.
It's too early for all that, but maybe we get into that later. But let's start off this podcast right, baby. The first thing I like to do is thank all the YouTube subscribers, all the TikTokers, Instagram followers, all the listeners across the world. Thank you so much for all your support. I love you. The podcast is definitely growing, and we're headed towards greatness. Now, speaking of greatness, today we have a great episode coming to you. We have a guest who's been in the entertainment business for over 20 years. He's worked with multiple organizations, labels. He is a branding expert. We have Myq Success Rodriguez. He has a book called The Content to Cash Bible, baby. Go get it, Myq. Round of applause to you, baby. Welcome.
I appreciate you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I love it.
That's probably one of the, I've had long introductions.
Hey, man.
Right? But you know what everybody always says?
What they say?
We have a special guest. You've said that for the last. You've had 80 episodes. Everybody's special. You said this is. You said this is a great episode
because we have greatness in the building. I like it.
Baby. So you didn't gas me.
No,
like I'm the best guest, even though that's my goal on every pod I go.
There you go.
Forget about the views. I look to be the best guest. I want the gold medal.
Yes. Yes. We have greatness in the building, baby. Listen, Myq, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here in the podcast. Listen,
sure.
I remember when we started connecting on social media, and then when we finally got off the social media platforms and we finally called each other,
right?
You told me immediately you was about energy. Yep. And that hit me like, okay, I'm about energy too. And the energy was great from the first conversation we had.
Yeah.
And now we're here, my brother.
Yeah,
welcome to the podcast. Listen, we're going to talk about a few things here today.
Okay.
And I like to take it by segments. But the first thing I always like to talk about is the guest upbringing. You know, we're both Latino.
Right.
Probably similar upbringings. Tell us a little bit about yours.
So I'm 50 years old, so this pod might be 2.5 hours. If I break it down, I got to give you the short version of my upbringing. So Puerto Rican, both sides, mother, father, raised. It's crazy, and it's gonna sound crazy. And as I was telling you off camera about when I was speaking to a school, how I opened up is I was raised by a bunch of entrepreneurs. I was raised by entrepreneurs and addicts.
Wow,
which is wild, right? But all the addicts are in recovery. Right. So it's like come from that. But the entrepreneur spirit is definitely my grandmother. Right. Okay. My grandmother had a bar for 40 years in the South Bronx called Virginia's Lounge. I'm probably going to be doing a pod called Virginia's Lounge.
Hey, man, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was on the corner of Longwood and Southern Boulevard across from the 41st Precinct.
Okay.
And, you know, she's my guy. Like my grandmother passed away 22 years ago. She's on my phone. She's on my Apple Watch when I have it. You know, she's my everything when it comes to that. And she instilled the business side in my mom. My mom had her own business. And then upbringing, my parents got divorced when I was young, 5 years old. And then my stepfather came into my life, who's the most amazing man. I speak about him a lot. You know, he's definitely made me the man I am today. Like we spoke off camera, I was fortunate enough to have a father and a stepfather.
Yes.
From the man's side, right? Active in my life.
Both active.
Yeah, active in my life. My mother's amazing. My mother's a life coach now. You know, I grew up in. I don't want to say grew up. My mother got sober like when I was 14.
Okay.
So from then on, I you know, mindset was a lot too.
Right.
Being in AA meetings and stuff like that, and I'm like, I soak up everything, right?
Right.
So that's me for mindset. For business wise, as far as, you know, upbringing, when I was 12, what's 12? No, 10. I'm sorry. When I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
my mother had a company doing advertising specialties, which we call merch now.
Yes.
She had a partner, and then she went on her own. Long story short, I ended up naming the company, giving it its slogan, and then got her first 3 orders to start on her own because I went to my school and my sports teams. I had them all order from my mom.
You're doing this at 10.
At 10.
Oh wow.
Right?
Okay.
So my mom takes me to the Bahamas, and she's like, "This is your commission." So that instilled it in me from that age, right? And the name of the company was Ready Promotions. We're ready to serve you. Like, it was nothing crazy, but I always talk about how it wasn't so much about that, but my mom put the foundation in me. Like, I'm a 10-year-old kid, and I'm like, I did that. I can reflect and see that now.
Wow.
You know? And
Right, because you're not seeing it as you're growing.
Yeah.
You're just a kid,
Right.
enjoying life at the moment,
Right.
and creating.
Right. So that was, that was my thing. I grew up very multicultural. I'm 100% Puerto Rican. I told you my stepfather is Italian and French Canadian. My stepbrothers are Jewish, right?
Oh, wow.
I have a black uncle, Scottish aunt. Like, I've had, like, listen, I used to say our Thanksgiving back in the day was like the United Nations. Hey. Everybody put your flag.
Hey,
you know what I mean? That. But it made me well-rounded, well-versed, for everything. You know, I feel like I've been very fortunate as far as my upbringing. I've had some, 18 to 22, I speak about a lot. Those were probably my darkest years,
right,
that I didn't know who I was, what I was doing, self-inflicted things. Like,
listen.
Now I'm like, there's no way. I tell my wife, I'm like, yo, babe, you would want no parts of me.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
But my upbringing is my, pardon the pun, is my book, right? And I always tell people we're all the authors, and the chapters are as long or as short as you want them. And, speaking to me today, it was the best, right? Like, I am in the best place as a person that I've ever been. And I'm thankful for all of that. You know what I mean?
You already made it, man.
No, 100%.
That's that feeling, that genuine, like, care for yourself and acknowledgement towards yourself, and being happy with yourself. That speaks volumes in you, and it exudes out of you, right? So it's kind of like everywhere you go, you present that
Yes.
great version of yourself. Do you have brothers and sisters?
Half sister.
Half sister. I was gonna say, if you was the youngest one, you was definitely the sponge.
Yeah. I'm one. I'm the youngest and the oldest.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
There you go. There you go. Because typically, and we're gonna get into kids in a moment. But my youngest, she's a sponge.
Yeah.
She's just like grasping different ideas of life as she sees her older cousins and her older friends, and she likes to be with the older crowd.
Of course.
And I think it's just to be a sponge.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
So you got your entrepreneurial spirit from your grandma. That's great, man.
Yeah.
So can you pinpoint a moment in life that led you to say, okay, I know I got this entrepreneurial spirit, but the entertainment business is where I want to be?
Well, I didn't know. Like, that happened organic, right? And I'll give a shout out to my cousin. So I was also a dancer, right? I love dancing, break dance, did all this stuff. And even in high school, I was, I don't know if anybody watching is old enough for Big Daddy Kane, but
listen, man, my back and my neck, we're in the same age range. I know what you're feeling, my brother.
yeah, I see how you said that age range.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, I'm not really 50.
I'm not.
I'm not really 50,
I'm
but
not.
I'm in that range. All right, we're in the range. So, Mike, relax.
I mean, I am in the range.
No, that's all right.
But I'm not like over.
Yeah. So
It's not like you look at the number and you say, okay, let's just put 50 on there.
Yeah. You're not. You're still in the younger demo. I'm 45 plus. You're still in that 35 to 40. That's all right.
There you go.
Got you.
But my back tells me different. But estamos bien.
But Big Daddy Kane, old school rapper. He was my favorite, and he had Dancer, Scoob, and Scrap. And those were like my idols. And I actually through all of this, got to meet Scrap, which was, Scoob, which was amazing. It was amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
And what you call it? So my cousin, like I said, around 20 years old, I was, I don't want to say the smart, but I just knew how to speak. I had business ethic. I've been in the business world, meaning as young, I just know how to move.
Right.
So my cousin knew that.
Right.
Yo, Myq, I got this girl. You want to manage her with me? And I had no idea what the hell that meant. I was like, sure. And this is my cousin. You know, it's like my brother, like the whole primo hermano.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah. I don't know what that means, but no problem.
I'll do it.
No problem. And it's funny. Around that time, I was at a college. I went to visit somebody. I don't know. I forget. I was at SUNY Purchase,
Right.
and I was talking about this is what I'm doing, and this kid, he was like, "Yo, read this book." And I was like, "What is this?" And it was All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman, and he was like, "This is considered the Bible."
Oh.
So I read it. I got the book. I read it, and it was just literally giving you information on the business, like every breakdown on terms and what it was. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Didn't give me experience clearly, but it gave me some knowledge.
Right.
So that's how I started. I never did anything with the girl. I never went to the studio, never did anything. And then that just kind of, I was like, damn, I love dancing. Like music was a passion for me. I enjoyed it even back when I was single. Like I would go out not to meet girls.
Right.
I just would be like, yo, I got to go out. I need to dance. That was like my therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, it was music and then it was business. I was like, damn, this is kind of dope. I can kind of put the two together. Fire.
Wow.
Still having, at the time, a 9 to 5, but I didn't really do anything with that girl. Then I was working. I was working at Tommy Hilfiger, like in a store, in a mall,
Yeah.
and met somebody, a reggae dude.
Okay.
He wanted us to manage him.
Okay.
It's like, all right, now I'm doing stuff and copyright, learning all these different things, right? Like,
Right.
It's crazy when I think about the journey. And then fast forward after that, when I used to have hair, I would get my hair cut on the concourse, right?
Yeah.
And I would talk music, and my barber, his name was Free, he was like, yo, you got to meet my man Tech. He was like, yo, he's a DJ, he lives up the block. Cool.
Right.
Still getting a haircut, whatever. Finally, one day, we link.
Right. You and Tech.
Yeah. He's like, yo,
okay.
it's like, whatever. We start vibing. Again, energy. I've always been that.
Energy, man.
Vibing. He was like, yo, I live like 2 blocks away. You want to, like, I have like a little studio set up. You want to listen to, yeah, no problem. Go over there. He tells me about this Dominican dude.
Yeah.
Yo, he's nice. I'm like, damn, this dude's nice. Because now I'm like, finally I have hip hop.
Yeah.
Possibilities.
Right.
So I end up start to managing him, and then he tells me, yo, when my man come home, because he was locked up, you guys got a link, because y'all definitely
That's similar.
Yeah, he came home, me and him hit it off, and then we started a company together.
Wow.
And it was called, what's crazy is that back then, I don't even know if I've ever said this on a pod, but
Exclusive, baby.
yeah, exclusive. No, so the Dominican dude, the name he gave me was Myq Manifesto,
Okay.
right? Because he manifests the dough,
Okay.
right? So it was Myq Manifesto. And
Okay.
then I got with this dude, they called him Flex. It wasn't Funk Master Flex. His name was Flex when he came home.
Right.
We vibed out, whatever, from Harlem. And then I had a dream one day. And in the dream, it said, because I'm very spiritual, said,
Me too. We could get into that.
your name needs to be Success, because that's what you're destined for.
Wow. Okay.
Y'all woke up,
In the dream, that happened.
literally that happened.
Oh,
Your
okay.
name needs to be Success because that's what you're destined for. Okay.
That light bulb when you woke up.
Bro. So I was in the Bronx at the time, 163rd Tiffany, like that's my hood. He was in Harlem, Manhattanville Projects.
Okay.
I go down, I go to his building. Never noticed this before. They have little gardens in front of the building.
Right.
The garden in front of his building was called Sweet Success.
Man, listen.
So I told him, and we formed Success Entertainment, and then we just started going.
Man, God has just been placing your blessings right in front of you,
Bro, it's-
because you've been following through.
It's wild, right? So then that happens, and then we're moving, grooving, doing what we doing. And back then there was something called BDS, which would be considered streams now.
Right,
back then
right.
it was spins, and it was like a 3-man team. It was me, and his name got changed to Celeb,
Okay.
and then my man Justin Suits, the producer, and then we ended up getting a radio promoter. His name was F.A.L.L, and he was the one that really got this song to Philly. Hot 97 was playing on Mix Radio, Power 105. We had like 13 different states, and it was just like a 4-man team.
Wow.
And it was like, damn, we getting there. And I remember the first time, what's wild is that the first time the song was getting played, so my man Chef hits me, he's like,
Yeah.
yo, Mr. C playing it tonight.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, no way, right? So I listened, and it had finished. He was also covering for Flex. So I listened till 2, and it was, I was like, yo, I'm tired, right? And I was with my wife at the time. She was my girl. And at 2 a.m., Mr. C starts the show with the song.
Right.
I was bugging, right?
You got up immediately.
I was like, yo, and my wife was like, so my grandmother, I call her Tata.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to tell Tata? And I was like, babe, it's 2 a.m. Like, I don't even know if I was calling her babe at the time. I'm too accustomed. Babe, I'm accustomed to babe now. But I said, I'll tell her in the morning. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, we woke up to my grandmother screaming. She had a heart attack and passed away.
No, bro.
Yeah. So I feel like, because my grandmother was setting up my wife prior to us getting married. My grandmother never thought I was going to get married. I know these are like 2 parts in this story, so I apologize.
No.
But chronological order, right? July 2nd, 2002 was when my girl, my wife, like was kind of like staying with me and my grandmother now. I was like, all right. My grandmother passed away August 24th is when that song played, August 24th of that year. So it was really July 2nd to August 24th. That whole time that she was there, my grandmother was like, Mike likes his rice made like this. This is what he does. Boom. Hey, I want you to go get that. Like, she was literally setting her up. Hey, get the maleta from over there. Pulled out my mother's wedding dress. Wear this when you guys get married. I'm like, yo, this is wild.
Wow.
This is wild. And our family saint was St. Michael. My grandmother had, the table, everything. I was born on St. Michael's feast day. That's why I'm named Michael. And my grandmother felt like I was a gift from God to her.
Wow.
Like, I was hers. All my cousins are like, yeah, we were all fighting for the silver medal, bro.
But you got it.
Because we can't beat that. There's no way. There's nothing we could do to beat that, right? So I felt like that my grandmother was like, he's on his way. He has his woman, because she never thought I was going to get married. So when she was doing this, I was bugging, because she was like, you're never going to get married. And then she met Michelle, and this was all happening. And that's kind of like, that's why my wife and I are spiritually connected, that people will never understand.
Right.
And she's my soulmate for sure.
I could tell you're a very spiritual man. Even that story, like the way you're even describing it.
Yeah.
Everything was put in, like, in hindsight, right? We could only look back and really check off other boxes that we wasn't paying attention to as we were living through that.
Yeah.
But even looking back at it, like, I got goosebumps, bro.
Yeah.
Just hearing that, because it was kind of like it was all meant to be. Mm-hmm. And then your grandmother grooming your wife.
Yeah, that's wild, bro.
You being the favorite grandchild. It's kind of like, I'm passing the baton, and this is what he likes. This is what he doesn't like. This is like how it should be. He's already, like, sometimes a lot of people say, you don't really reach success until you have the right partner next to you. Mm-hmm. Your grandmother saw that. Yeah. And she saw the packaging already. You was packaging up for the next phase of your life. Yeah. That's insane, bro. Yeah. I'm sorry about your grandma passing.
No, bro, I speak to her every single day. And what I tell people, when people pass, especially when it first happens, it's difficult. But the advice that I give people is, once you start to learn to develop a spiritual relationship with that person, it gets a little bit easier, because you just have to change your relationship. It's not physical anymore. I would love to give my grandmother a hug right now. I can't, but I speak to her. My son is definitely Mikey is my grandmother's definitely in him, because we found out that she was pregnant literally weeks after she passed. And my mother-in-law told my wife, don't go getting pregnant. You know, when somebody dies, and you know, sorry, but that, you know, it was crazy. So, and he's never met my grandmother, but he has a pillow. He's 21, still has the pillow from her that he will not. We try to say, hey, do you want us to put new fabric? Nope.
Safety blanket.
It's 21.
It could be for life.
And it's no. Don't touch it. Like, that's my thing, which is wild, bro. Wild.
That's insane.
His first tattoo was her.
Yeah. He also created a spiritual connection with her.
Definitely.
Of course.
Definitely.
Don't worry about that.
That's right. Spiritual. That's my grandmother. My grandmother's here.
You see?
My grandmother here. My grandmother's always with me.
Well, welcome. Have some coffee.
Yeah, no.
That's all good.
That's how I started drinking coffee. 7 years old, 6.
Look at that.
With the galletas and the.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. You spoke about your son. How many sons do you have?
I have 3.
You have 3. What are the ages?
22, 21, 14. So the 22-year-old is not with my wife.
Okay.
It was prior to my wife. So 21. So it's MJ is the oldest, and Mikey and Maddox.
Right. So the reason I'm asking is you have all boys, right? I have all girls. We have similar we have a similar upbringing, right? But at the same time, you have a lot of testosterone in your house. I have a lot of estrogen coming out of mine, right? That's how you say that?
Yeah.
The different dynamics of raising a boy versus a girl. Like, I've never experienced that. I always wanted a boy. You know, we always want that boy.
Yeah.
You ever like wanted a girl?
It's crazy. No.
Oh. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I never did. But my wife has always wanted a girl, and she was like, "Babe, I think you'd be such a dope girl dad." And I know that, like, I mean, now the factory shut down. Like, we not.
Oh yeah.
It's over
for all that.
But you know, I think, you know, it's funny because somebody had said something to me about raising a daughter, and she was like, it's different for you. You have boys, and you don't know, you know, just. And it was weird the way that the person was coming. Like, it wasn't like at me, and I was like, yes, I do not know. I said, but what I'm doing is I'm raising my kids to make sure that they take care of your daughters.
Bingo.
That's what I'm doing, right? So
Bingo. Yeah,
it's different, but I'm old school too. Chivalry. I'm not saying about we got to pay, you know, pay this, pay that. You know. I want my boys, and I see it with I see it with them and how they take care of their girlfriends.
Right.
You know,
They get a lot of the tools of how to be a gentleman,
right,
from their dad.
And I got that going back to my stepfather.
Yeah.
My stepfather would get my mother flowers and just say Happy Wednesday. Like, he was that kind of guy. So when I had girlfriends in high school, you know, in the locker, I would do stuff like that. Here's a rose. Hey, you know, Happy Wednesday.
Out the blue.
Yeah. You know, so I saw that, and that's why I always go back to him, and I'm grateful for him to now putting that in my tree, right? Because now I do that, and that's what it is.
Do you think, because this is the first time me asking this on this podcast to somebody, do you think that God gives men girls or only girls as a karma?
I used to think that when I was younger.
Right. For me, it's different. For me, it's like, I feel that there's a lesson that God is trying to teach me through raising my daughters. I know it definitely softened me up a little bit, a lot, to be honest. And that, in conjunction with me going to therapy and all that stuff, like, it definitely made me a better parent as well.
Yeah.
But going back to your upbringing with your dad and your stepdad, that's kind of like a plus situation.
Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds. You got tools from your parents. We spoke a little bit about that before the podcast. The reason why I asked you the question is because what are some tools that you learned late that you have instilled in your sons early?
It's one of the things, and I literally just posted this recently, is it's kind of like an understanding, because as parents, you know, I'm sure you go through it, but I don't know, you know, especially when they're younger, it's like, damn, how many times I got to say this? Like, how many times I got to say the same thing? And I remember telling my stepfather, he goes, as long as it takes. Wow. He was like, you, like, you're always going to be their father, and they got to hear from you, and they may not listen, right? And then he went into another one where it's like, kids are horrible listeners, but they're exceptional imitators.
Wow.
And that was huge for me because, a lot of times you hear hey, do as I say, not as I do. And kids are a lot different now too. I speak to my youngest, because he's the one that, okay, I'm still able to kind of, it's 21, 22. It's like, now I'm kind of like, I don't want to say more friend, but it's more support. Still dad, but it's, hey, we're talking about adult stuff, right?
It's kind of a bit different. Right?
Like my mom says, you give them roots and wings. They got their wings, right? My 14-year-old's still working on the roots.
Right.
But I tell them life is different now. And I'm not one of those old guys that say, well, I was 14. Yeah, I was 14, clearly, but I wasn't 14 in this day and age. And it's a lot different, right? When I grew up, to a certain point, I got my information from, let's just call it, regardless of, whoever, your situation.
Right.
You got it from either a single parent, one or two parents. That's where you got your information. And whatever that was what it is what it was.
Yep.
Now, you may still have that, but now you go to school, right? And they really, all you had to deal with was whatever they got.
Right.
But now what's happening is that with social media, with the internet, you have a 7-year-old that you've given them information. Now their classmate is being raised by the phone, the iPad, TV, and they're getting downloaded 18-year-old information that spills over to my 7-year-old. My 7-year-old comes home with that information, and I have to. It's more difficult than it was before. More challenging. My mom tries to don't use difficult, challenging. So more challenging. You know what I'm saying?
I was definitely I was gonna embark upon that question because I believe, and no disrespect, but I believe that we have it tougher as parents. Than our parents had it with raising us.
1,000.
Because it's so many different elements right now. You just hit it in the head. You're not 14 in this day and age.
Right.
It's a totally different 14-year-old perspective at this point. Social media plays a huge part in these children's self-esteem. Like they get motivated, they get unmotivated. Self-esteem goes up and down. It could develop into something else. It's a totally different world.
Right.
And in a way, you're still kind of like in dealing with that because you're dealing with a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this day and age. Shit. I'm dealing with not toddlers, right? I'm dealing with like an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, but they're headed that direction.
Yeah.
And everything keeps changing like a couple of years at a time. I could picture what the future looks like for them and their kids.
Right.
And it's insane.
Yep.
So any tools that you could bring from your upbringing that'll help them, you got to bring that and some.
Absolutely.
Because you are creating a parenting world in a different world for them.
Yeah, and the
it's
thing,
crazy.
And the thing, aside from the not only understanding that 14 is it, and I'll continue to use my son as an example, that his 14 is different now than it was when I was there. Aside from that, and this is for all parents, and I don't think our generation really understand. Sorry, I grouped you into me. You all right with that?
Yeah,
okay,
listen,
I said our generation.
It's us at this point, yeah. Listen, I'm there too, baby. I'm there too.
No, but a lot of us don't understand that, and I'll keep it on me. 50 years old, I'm talking to a 14-year-old. Aside from society, my 50-year-old mind is talking. I'm speaking it from 50. He's receiving it from 14. He's not receiving it from 50. Right? So
wow.
What things process in his brain is different. And again, going back to my stepfather, they don't have things to compare. They don't have comparison. I have 50 years of comparisons where you have 14. And it's funny. I always say, I'm raising future men. And me and him just had this conversation not too long ago. I said, How old, when do you think you become an adult? He said 18. I said, okay. The first couple of years of your life, you're shitting on yourself, right? You're really not doing nothing.
100%.
Right? So let's give it 14, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever those amount of years are. You're going to be an adult a lot longer than you're a child. So my goal is to give you the foundations now so that you're a great adult. You're going to learn and do all of these things here, but there's certain things that you are not going to understand until you become an adult.
100%.
And I understand that. And I always tell them, I'm like, I don't expect you to get it. But I'll constantly tell you, because at some point you will get it. And it's the foundation, because, you know, now going into this whole social media thing, I understand social media is like music too. People used to blame music. That's your kid.
Yep.
It's not the music's fault. It's not social media's fault. It's the foundation that you give your child. And it's difficult. 100%. It's difficult. I'm very focused on my 14-year-old. I do affirmations. You know what I mean?
Daily, baby.
And it's specific. I end it with, I am my top priority, and I am focusing on Maddox. I say that every single day so that I remember that, because my life is crazy sometimes, right? There's a lot going on, and I always want to remember. I need that communication. My 21-year-old calls me, your dad, just whatever. I need that communication, and now 14, he's getting to that point. I'm like, listen, I don't expect you to tell me everything, right? Because I'm still dad.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand certain things. If you want information, different things, please come back to me if you'd like, because you're talking to other 14-year-olds.
And yep.
Your friends don't know it all. Trust me. I'm telling you, things are different, but there's foundations that stand the test of time, like character and honor and integrity. Those last the test of time. So I'm not old in that aspect of it, and especially because of what I do for a living, I'm in tune, bro. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, I don't even know if you understand it, but your dad is out here.
Yeah.
I know what, but I'm not trying to be young.
No.
I'm just aware. And in any scenario, when I went to go speak to those kids, I said, I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk with you.
Yeah.
Right? Let's have a conversation so that I can learn too. I don't come here like this, yo. No, because when you were a kid, you didn't want to learn anything. That's why I don't like to educate. I like to give info.
Listen, you know what's crazy? You hit it in the head, because kids are sponges. We talked about that earlier, right? He's not going to understand it while he's receiving the information. At this day and age in my life, I'm 42, about to be 43, right? I remember I'm remembering conversations that was had with me when I was 16, 17, 14, like different simple conversations with my uncles, with my dad, because having men in your life as a boy is important.
Of course.
You know it, right? But it's how old it's now that I'm receiving that detail from that message or that jewel.
Right.
And that shit, it's crazy because it's always in hindsight.
Of course.
So you are affirmation driven. You're always talking to your kids, conversation, talk, speak, because there's a lot of parents that don't speak, and that's a whole different conversation. We can talk about that. But you are speaking enough, so it's gonna land later.
Yeah.
And later it's gonna hit him. It's gonna be like, yo, dad told me all this.
Yeah.
Dad told me this was gonna happen. Or I remember 40 years ago, 30 years ago, when dad said this or my uncle said that. It's crazy, but it's always after the fact. So for those parents who are non-communicative with their kids, because that's a whole different thing, and I was going to get into that because our upbringing, we're Latinos, but in my household, I love my dad. Solid dude, raised me to be honorable, raised me to have respect, all that stuff, right? The character building.
Right.
But as far as the conversations, they weren't really there.
Right.
You know, I got that from my uncles, from him, a little bit here, a little bit there. But, you know, this is where the streets take your kids, and it becomes something else because the solid foundation wasn't there. Not to say that I was involved in anything, but it's just important to have these conversations with your sons, specifically.
Yeah. And I think, you know, as far as clearly, I don't know your upbringing, of your dad or whatever like that, but, you know, our parents did whatever they felt was right.
Right.
That was their best or whatever that was. And I think communication and all of this is a new thing. Especially in our cultures, it was not a thing. You know, I remember my grandmother seeing when talk shows were kind of like, she was like, yeah, I can't believe people are on here talking about their life in front of people.
Wow.
And now imagine what she would think today.
Wow.
But the thing is, it's like, that's what it was. It was very closed, and this is what it is, and do as I say, not as I do. It's because I said so. We're not in that because I said so generation. We're in because you have to respect me and I said so, but this is the reason why, right? And, you know, we were raised from, we just listened.
That's it.
Right? So when you're raised, hey, just listen, and now, you're telling me I got to have a conversation with my kid and tell him why? I was just told whatever. If not, I got hit. It's different.
It's totally different.
It's different. And people just have to understand you have to be able to evolve. It's not just with technology. You have to be able to evolve. And it's not saying, yo, well, I'm the parent. I get it. I hear you. And the respect is, look at society. Respect is lost for the elders. There is no, you're the old head. There wasn't that.
Wow.
This is just what you're dealing with right now. So it's like, you got to have I'm not saying you got to negotiate with your kids. I'm not saying that. But it's a matter of, you got to talk. What are we doing here? Why am I doing that? Even if you were not taught that,
Yep.
you can't go to a new job and just do what you want to do.
Yeah, no.
This is the job. This is the layout. And society has laid it out, whether you like it or not. What are you going to do with that? So you're going to sit there and just be hard-headed, and then your kids, it is what it is. You got to just learn how to adjust.
We have to pivot our parenting, right?
100%.
It's crazy. The conversations before were more layered in fear,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because they used to talk to us with something in their hand, or if we didn't listen, it was a quick other situation.
Right.
It was mostly fear. We had to decode all that fear into having conversations. So we're learning new parenting as we're going.
Yeah.
And life is lifing.
Yep.
It's totally different.
But there's a middle ground, because what's happening is that people are going to the far left and being friends with their kids.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah.
Wow.
And letting the kid run the show. Like, I'm not saying that. Trust me. Like, in my house, they know. It's like, when dad's tight, listen. And I'll even, because I don't like to yell. Right? I'm passionate. So if I do yell, something's up. Right? And I'm aware enough when I do yell, because I see whether it's the fear or whatever, I'll come back. Once I've
Right.
Hey,
Once
listen.
you de-escalate it,
Listen.
calm down.
I love you. And I hate getting like that. And I hate that I have to get like that in order. But you see, I said, you see what you did? Because I raised up. Look what you did. I don't want to have to do that. We've had conversations. So I want you to understand that. And I love you. And then there's times that I've been wrong. And I'll come back and be like, hey, listen, you know what? That's my bad, bro. And I don't call him bro. But because that's the thing I don't like either. When I see these things on a post, you went from dad to this to bruh. Nah, you're not calling me bruh. I'm not your man.
Don't call me bruh.
Exactly. So, but the thing is that it's okay to apologize, and people gotta find that middle ground. Don't just let your kids walk all over you and do all that type of stuff. But then also don't just, it's what I just shut up and just do it. You can do whatever you want. It just doesn't work.
It's on
I
you.
feel. My opinion. This is all me. That's what I feel.
We have to repackage the conversation.
Yeah.
Even that of you knowing now that you've gotten upset and took a different approach to a conversation. You're knowing the difference that because you raised your voice, they might have not listened to the tools that you gave them in that moment, and coming back after you've calmed down and just say, hey, you know what? Let me re-message that to them.
Yeah.
So they could capture what I'm telling you. That's a learning curve that we've taken on.
Yeah, and that's what I try to listen. I try to help. Like I told you prior, this is from a human element, and I tell people, especially men, right? If I'm talking to an 18-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 30-year-old, I'm just you in the future. I come from. It takes a village. I'm from the human element, right? Like I've told you. And if I can teach you something, if I'm speaking to a 39-year-old and I can have them learn something that day, and I just learned it at 49. I always tell people it's a win for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm here, I understand my purpose. I'm here to maybe tell your child that may not listen to you, but oh shit, Myq said that. Right? Because you could sit there and tell my kids something that I've been trying to say. Oh, I didn't even get it.
Yep, it
and
always
it's
happens.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have an ego.
It's a village, baby.
Yeah, I don't have an ego. As long as the message get delivered, and it is what it is, we're good. We're good.
There's a lot of time my parents came to me saying, well, you just heard that you just got?
Yeah.
I've been telling you that for the past 7 years. You see what I'm saying?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
It's a lot of times. And I go to my parents all the time and tell them, you know, I just give them hugs and be like, yo, thank you for raising me the way you did.
Yeah.
You know, it was tough love, a lot of it. My mom was the mush parent. My dad was because, you know, I was talking to my sister about this the other day. Back in the day, it was normalized to, you know, the man goes to work, the woman stays home. So it's kind of like, in my mind, right? My dad gets home after a long day of work. He looks at his son and his daughter. He has very minimal time to spend with them. He looks at his daughter. He gives her as much kisses as he could to soften. That's his soft element, his daughter. He looks at me. He's like, damn, I could do the same, but I got to toughen him up. I got to, you know, raise him to be a man and prepare him for this world that you know, that he's about to embark upon. So it was totally two different styles. But my mom, she had all the time in the world to be the mush parent. So she was always the calm one. So I had that balance in the house, but I understand why my dad raised me the way he did. It's like he didn't spend much time with me because he was always out working. Yeah. And he did the best he could when he was with me.
100%.
But he had to teach me the balance of life, and the balance he took moreover was, hey, you're a man. This was about to happen. So I'm very grateful. You had a stepdad and a father, which was kind of like pouring into you, and on top of that, you was a sponge. At 10, you was creating business. So it kind of like tells me you was always a sponge in a way, grasping a lot of tools and information. And you know, God gave you 3 sons, and you're teaching them and raising them the right way to be men. Right now, for me, as a father to 2 girls, like my oldest, now they're 11 and 8. Everything my oldest does, my 8-year-old wants to do, right? She wants TikTok. She wants a YouTube page. She wants an Instagram. And I'm like, no. You know, me and my wife are all over like the social media. We're all over the devices and stuff like that. But at some point they are gonna, of course, do it. So, or, you know, some kids are doing it behind our backs, to be honest. You know, it's just sad that we have that extra world element, because before it was home or the streets will raise you. Now the home, the streets, and social media is raising your kid.
And you know what's even more difficult about the social media element? Think about the streets is a physical thing, right? The streets is something where you can kind of stop. You're not going out.
Yeah. Social
media,
it's a whole different mindset, bro.
You can't control it. You can't control it, and you know
all you can do is turn it off.
Right, but they can still be exposed in their friend's phone. So I firmly believe that the foundation is the most important part. That's why I blame parents. I'm not saying my kids, you know, are angelic, right? Right. But there's a foundation there, and I know they know right from wrong. And then there's decisions that you're gonna have to make, and that's on you. I gave you a foundation. When I went through my stuff in my life, I can only imagine how difficult it was for my parents to watch me and do that, and certain things that happened, you know. And as a parent, where I got kicked out of my house because I was affecting my mother's sobriety. Wow. What that must have taken for her to do that. Right? Wow. And I thank her for that, because I needed that. But I can only imagine from her mindset as a parent, and as close as me and my mom are, how difficult that must have been. Like, and I feel bad for that. Like, that I forced you into something like that. But also that you put yourself first, even with your child. It was nuts. But I needed that, and thank God I went through all of that. That whole 4 year, that's a whole other pod. That whole 4 years, what I learned and everything like that, and where I was and situated. Yeah. But that is part of my book. Yeah. And that made me who I am, and I'm good.
You gotta appreciate it all, man.
Yeah.
It's all lessons.
Yeah.
It's all lessons.
Yeah.
And learning curves. And even for you to take that whole book and refresh it to become a totally different parent listen, parenting is tough all around. But I do blame the foundation. It's the parents.
Yeah. And you got I have an acronym. I'm big on acronyms. I always tell people you got to FALL, right? And FALL stands for failure. Failures are life lessons. And that's how you have to, you got to embrace, you're going to have that. If not, I feel like whoever you look up to, your higher power, whatever, if you don't go through issues and you don't have failures, they enable you.
Yeah.
We all want everything to be great. Life is ups and downs. For me, it's a matter of how do you deal with the downs and how quick can you get back from the downs? Because you're going to deal with downs.
All life.
And you can either fester in that. I'm a person, the problem is one sentence. The rest of the time and energy I want on a solution. I do not want to hear about the problem again. Got it. Know it. Understand. Why are we still talking about that?
You're solution driven.
Yeah, why are we still talking about that? It's still there. This is not going to do anything. I understand it, and there's a feeling. Because I've been to therapy. I started therapy at 5 years old. When my parents got divorced, they put me in therapy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And be like, hey, let's see what this is. And throughout my life, I'm not saying I've been every week since 5, right? But throughout my life, I've done it, so I understand it and I get it. And that's why, like, even when people go to therapy, I'm not saying that I am a therapist, even though, like, that's my role a lot in my circle.
Yeah.
I have a version of how I think therapy should work, right? Because not everybody's great. Not every doctor's great, and it's just there's certain things.
And everybody's not ready for therapy.
No, you have to be ready for anything. Your mindset. I always say, even on the business side, the person has to be right before the business can be right. And there's certain things, especially in social media, that's a whole other beast, right? And people don't realize that they chase so much. They want this.
Yeah.
Right? They want to be known and they want to be like, hey. But internally, with that comes rewards, but then also comes critics, haters. Can you deal with that? Are you able to sit there and be like, who cares? Because a lot of people will go to social media. You have whoever you are. There's 100 comments, let's just say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
20 of them are bad, 80 of them are great. You focus on the 20.
100%.
And it's difficult.
That's what social media does to you.
Yeah. But if you have a foundation and you have a support group to be able, not meaning like literally, but your circle, that you could have a conversation. And this is what my journey is now on letting people know. Stop worrying about everybody else. Just do you. Stop, because that is a mental game. I need to make sure that you're right mentally, because that's my biggest thing. The money will come.
Yeah.
Let's focus and make sure you're okay and you are prepared for this.
You know what's crazy? Like you said earlier that, life is full of up and downs. I am a firm believer that the downs definitely build your character.
Yeah.
Right? It definitely strengthens you. You need to fall every once in a while. You just hit it. Like you said, everybody wants the accolades. Everybody wants the shiny gold. You may not be prepared for that. Like we were speaking off the podcast about certain things, and I'm a firm believer that until you don't close specific doors in your life, others won't open.
Yep.
You have to shut it. You have to shut that door. Lock it.
Yep.
Completely. And then you step into the newer version of you at that point. And God is preparing you along the way. If you're spiritual, right? If you're that type of person, like you have everything you need right now to be successful to know that you're successful right now.
Yeah.
Wherever you end up. But be happy with the process. Be happy with the ups and downs. Be happy with the lessons. Everything is kind of like preparing you for that next step.
Yeah, you know what happens too with that and what you're talking about? And I literally just told my wife this, and she was like, it was like a light bulb came, for her. People will be making progress. They'll move forward, as an analogy. But they're moving forward as they're walking backwards, if that makes any sense.
Oh, shit.
So for me to get to you, I turn around, I'm walking backwards. You know why? Because I'm so focused on the past. But I'm moving forward, but I'm looking back. first of all, you can't move as quick, and you're also missing the opportunities, because if you turn around and now you're able to see everything, it's a different world. But people are, nah, but I'm moving. No, but you still caught up in the past. You still looking back there. Again, that goes back to the problem. The past is the past. Got it. And I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to turn around and let's go and let's see what's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking about social media, and you having 20 years in the entertainment business, right? Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot that has changed. Mm-hmm. Do you consider social media to be a tool for what you're doing today? Or I'm guessing you have learned to use, because you're passionate about what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
You have learned to use social media for your advantages.
Yeah.
But for the regular person that is transitioning, was that tough for you?
As far as using social media as a tool, or
as a tool for what you do?
The only reason why it was difficult for me is because I focused so much on everybody else.
Okay.
So this turning to me as a brand, it's like literally, I was telling you, having a conversation with Chick the other day. He's like, yo, Myq, what's blocking you from you? You got a bunch of ideas for me.
Yeah.
What about you? What are we doing for you? And that was the difficult part, the challenging part. Social media is a great tool. I think social media is the world, especially from a business perspective. Personal, listen, you want it, great. You don't, no biggie. From a business perspective, I feel every business needs to have a social media presence, and you got to know what the point is, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people get into the game and be like, I need a page. It's like, okay, and they just don't know it. You get with people that know it, and you have to utilize this. It's you have things at your fingertips. Like, you can literally do things, and listen, it's a business. It's a business now. So you got to put in to it. You see the pod.
Listen,
right?
It's definitely.
And I tell people all the time, like what I was telling you off camera, like, you're literally paying for your podcast college education.
100%.
Right? So instead of paying somebody, you're buying equipment, and you're having scenarios, and hey, we should buy this. That wasn't the right camera. Or that lens. That was an L right there.
Wow.
Because you're gonna sit there and you have to look at that as an investment in your education. The problem with social media, and I say this all the time, it is such a low cost of entry that people 9 times. I'm gonna switch it. 11 times out of 10.
Right.
You didn't purchase your phone because you're a kid. Your parents bought your phone.
Right.
So now you have a camera. Shoot a video, you're off to the races. You just started to become your journey to becoming a creator, an influencer, but you didn't pay for it. That's why I tell people, if your first video goes viral, that's a bad situation.
That's a definitely bad
right?
situation. Yeah.
But you have to, and my thing, even with everything, is teaching creators and talent and artists, this is a business. It is just like brick and mortar. It's just like e-commerce. Anything you think of, you have to take you as that, if this is what you're doing.
Right.
And if you're a business and you're getting social media, you need a social media department, just like marketing, just like accounts receivable, accounts payable. This has to be in your department now, because it is very relevant to today.
Man, listen, I'm gonna take it back to the foundation conversation, right? Because not everyone sees it that way. Like you said, people turn on the camera, that's it.
Yeah.
Glitzing. It's a low cost entry to enter social media,
right?
To see glitz and glamours of people. Mm-hmm. So you automatically start mirroring your success with other people, and that's your downfall. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you said, it's funny because you said, you buy a camera, you buy a lens, you return it. You know how many times I've done that here?
Of course.
As I'm learning this podcasting space.
Yeah.
It's insane. And everything I'm trying to see, what's the next step? What's the next level? But
we'll talk about that. Off camera, I got you.
Yes.
I'm going to do you're going to get like a free consultation, a rundown. Seriously.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to create this and make it into a business. Yes, my mind went into business, as we were talking before, off the camera. Mm-hmm. My mind went into business immediately when I started thinking about this idea. But I'm still trying to learn. Everything is. This year was the first year that I took one of those, those whiteboards that they had in school, the erasable markers. I put it in my closet, a huge one. And this is the first year that I put 2025 goals.
Good.
For the pod.
Right.
And I laid it out to see it every day, to visually pass by there every day and see it and say, okay, this is what I need to be focused on. Financial literacy course, this, that. Like, I want to get into it all. And you got to have that when you're thinking business, when you're thinking you want to become a content creator. But not everyone has that mindset.
One thing I'll tell you, too, is that you also have to think about what you provide for people. Like, a lot of times pods, influencers, like dealing with brands, it's like they're very much thinking about themselves on what the brand can do for them, what can do for them. You got to flip it and figure out what could you do for them. Like, what's going to make me watch your pod? Like, what is your thing? What makes you an asset? What makes you own or earn a person's
Attention.
ear,
Right.
eye? What is it? Right? And you got to figure that, because you'll be in your bubble, not you, just a person in general, especially with a pod. Y'all spend all this money. Okay, cool. I get that. That's part of it. Stop looking at that as a bad. Right. I literally was having a conversation, just understanding, like, it's a mindset too. Spoke with this guy, put a little deck together about an idea that, somebody had wanted. He wanted to work. Like, hey, cool. He was like, yeah, Myq, just got to let me know how much this is going to cost, because, I just look at it as it's going to be a loss. I just want to know. And I was like, well, if you're looking at it as a loss, then let's not even do it. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Right? But I understand, because he had a bad experience with influencer marketing. So when I get people, like, I'm different, bro. Right? So when I had the conversation, even with this guy, the first time I got on the phone with him, he was telling me everything that he could do, that he wanted to do for me, I said, that's cool. I said, what could I do for you? What makes you meeting me and us working together? What makes it a win for you? And he was like, damn, he's like, Myq, that's refreshing to hear, because people know that that's how I move. I'm a team guy. So if I help you, it's going to help me. 100%. I believe in servant leadership, right? I want to help you. I don't, and I use this term all the time, I grew up in a very we society. We're living in a very me society. I'm all about the we. But also learning to be positively selfish, right? Being who I am and about me, but I'm a we guy. So to the point where if it don't make sense, I'm not doing it. I don't want, if I read, because I'm seasoned, right?
Right.
So if I read and I see that you're telling me already with words like this is going to be a loss, let's kill it.
No,
we're not doing it.
Immediately.
We're not doing it. I need you to look at this like this, especially with social media, because it is the low cost entry and everybody is instant gratification. The consumer now is so much more educated and smarter, whereas back in 2017 when I started, you had people, aside from who I was working with, putting a post and things happen, sales and this and that. It's not the same anymore, because it's not only what we're doing, but we're educated now. Right. So everybody feels like they're getting sold. So what makes it different? So it's not going to translate anymore. So please don't come to me and tell me, oh, they got this amount of followers, and if 1%, yeah, that's cool. I get it. But there's things that you have to do, and it has to be different. And I tell them, it's not going to be one thing. It has to be, it's a gradual thing. And it's not because I want to get more money.
Right.
I want you to get the results. Will it cost more money? Yes, but my focus is about getting you the results.
You can't work with somebody that automatically sees his own plans as a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm off that. I'm off that.
Because then you become like an inspirational coach at the same time, trying to get the person up to par with their own dreams.
Yeah, bro.
Somebody has to come to you with their dreams and their passion, and they want to move forward and grow and learn. Because this whole thing has been a learning curve.
Yeah.
And I love this journey.
Yeah.
Because as I'm learning, I'm rebranding, I'm doing little things. Look, I just thanked all the followers and YouTube subscribers and all that as they following through in the journey. But in reality, this has been great even for me personally, outside the business.
Right.
It's definitely been different elements of myself and different growths that I've taken throughout each conversation. And it's just amazing. And I want to continue to grow and continue to, if one person listens to this podcast and gets certain jewels, because we're dropping jewels in conversations, right?
Right.
And they're young, but 10 years, 15 years down the line, they know they heard it.
Yeah.
We won.
Yeah.
This is what this is about for me also. I'm trying to inspire also. Like, it's amazing to go through a journey and figure out that this is for you. Like, you figured it out. You know exactly who you are, what you want to do, and you know, at the same time, you're passionate with who you've become.
Right.
With me is the same thing. I feel like I've grown so much with this, and I feel like this is where I needed to be.
Yeah.
100%. One last question on social media for you.
Okay.
What is one of the biggest mistakes, or some of the biggest mistakes you see influencers do today, outside of just turning on the camera, not learning anything?
I get this question asked all the time, and it's the same answer. They don't look at themselves as a business. That's the biggest mistake, because when art meets business, it becomes fuzzy.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what this is. That's why I'm so pro creator, because I was a dancer, and I always say art is never wrong. It's an expression. I can't tell you how to do your art. I cannot. I can't tell you how to express yourself on this pod, because this is your form of expression. Now, if there's business and there's a sponsor that wants to come in and they like you to read, then you read something, or, hey, we can't really do this. Now that becomes your decision, though.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times I'll tell clients, I'm like, listen, you want to get over here. But some clients don't want to be aligned with stuff like that, like some brands.
Right.
That's your decision. I'm not telling you to change. I will never tell anybody to change. My job is to tell you the real. I tell you exactly, and I'm not God's gift. I'm just somebody that knows what I know, and you could take it or not.
You're a vessel of information.
Right. So that's kind of like how I look at it. And, you know, it's people are doing this for money because they see the money. The numbers are crazy. You know, we quoted in the book, I think it's by 2030, $500 billion that this business is, this industry is going to be. Wow. And that's why people do what they do. That's why there's so many pods, right? And I think the cream is going to rise to the top because there are so many, and so many people are coming in for money. But the thing that people, I think, and this is something that I might touch on like one of my morning video type things. Yeah. Is I'm sure there's people that, hey, I could do that, and you could. Everybody can do it. Everybody has a story. Your job is to get the eyeballs and the ears so that your story and your idea fucking matters.
Right.
That's the problem, right? Because I know what I know, and I know I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
My job now, that's not good enough anymore. My job is to push so that people, he does know. My job is to say, hey, I've done this, I've done that. I've never been about that. I've been a just go. But this day and age, again, going back to the parent, you got to switch up. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
If I still listen to vinyl, bro, I probably wouldn't listen to any of the songs. Like, I got to make sure, first of all, I got to find a record player.
That's one thing.
Right?
And if you do, they're super expensive.
Right. And then who's putting their music out on vinyl?
Yeah.
Only certain special aspects of it. So if I do that, you got to be able to evolve. Like, that's been a challenge for me too. I have to take the picture. I have to show, because that's what's important to society in order for me to be valid to them.
It's a crazy world.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world.
Damn, I get passionate. I'm sorry.
I know, listen,
Natalie, I'm too loud over here, right? I'm sorry.
Listen,
I feel my passion. I'll be like, yo, like, sorry.
Nah, we're good, man. Listen, the energy's great. Since we saw each other outside, my brother.
Yeah.
Definitely, and I'm glad you're here with us. Let's talk about the Content to Cash book. You are a co-author.
Correct.
And I know when we spoke first over the phone, you said, this is the first time I'm really like focusing on me,
right,
and my journey and and growing. What led you to say, hey, you know what? Let me put my book out.
So
talk about this.
No, so that's definitely Ash. So Ash Cash is the co-author. Ash, I know Ash for over 15 years. He is the hip hop financial motivator. He's awesome. He was the youngest CEO, I think, of a credit union at 28.
Oh.
Like, he knows his stuff. And he has a whole thing called Hip Hoponomics. He puts books out, financial literacy. You know, he has a Nipsey book. He has a Nas book. Jay.
That's
like,
dope.
Yeah, it's dope. He breaks down, like, he's awesome, right? So he's my guy. Like, and we were trying to do, like, at the early stages, me manage him, whatever. It just didn't work for whatever. The timing wasn't right. So fast forward, life happens, and he understands how, you know, we were having a conversation, and he's written about 18 books. And he was like, how I was talking about my clients and what I do, whatever. And he's like, yo, we got to lock in. You know what I mean? I said, yo, bro, this is the time now, right? And he says, yo, bro, you got to do a book, like, on the creator economy or something, bro, because you be different. Like, you know what I'm saying? I see what you do, whatever. I've been watching, blah, blah, cool. So we getting on the call. And I think it was like a month later. I was like, yo, bro, you serious? He's like, hell yeah, bro, you got to. Like, yo, it's what I do. All right, cool. And as we're having a conversation, he's like, you know, saying these things. And I was like, yo, bro, you got to be. I want people to learn about life insurance and all that. I said, but I'm not the expert on that. I said, yo, bro, why don't you do it with me and we do it together? He's like, I'm with it. Wow. So I couldn't really, right? So he was like, look, I'm gonna hook you up my assistant. And we did hours upon hours upon hours of Zoom calls. He had certain things, like, he kind of like had an idea, like, yo, okay, this is what I need to know. And then kind of I was able to say my thing. So this book, going back to that Donald Passman book, that became the inspiration for this, because there wasn't really one that I'm aware of for content creators where now I can, if you want to learn about, here you go, start right there. Like, literally what that guy did for me.
Wow.
I can do that now. And now there's been financial literacy added to that, because I definitely don't know if there's a book like this which adds the financial literacy part to it. I think there's a lot of, hey, post 3 times or whatever, you know, whatever they decide to do. And we kind of did it in our way. Like, when you read that book, the beginning, the intro is very Styles and Jada.
Okay.
I say something, Ash says something, I say something, right? And
I love it.
And then, you know, there's basics. It's like an ABCs. But then chapter 7, I speak about a lot, because that was my fingerprint of this book. Chapter 7 speaks about things that books or people don't really speak about. Business etiquette, punctuality. Again, really looking at yourself like a business. If I come here, right, if you have a guest, I don't care who they are, and it's supposed to be for 10 o'clock, and they show up at 10:15, 10:30, even though that's okay, for me, I sit there and I look, I'm like, all right, you're not really serious. Like, there's talent that I have in clients, you know, hey, they got to be there. You sure they're going to be there? Yep. They show up at 9:50. Like, that's what makes you get more things, and people want to work with you because you look at yourself like a business. So I needed that to happen, because chapter 7 was literally the last chapter we did.
Okay.
Because it was like, kind of, I did that, and then Ash brought his aspect of it, and then it was like, damn, fingerprints got to be on that. And it was kind of like a perfect, let's call it halftime, right? Because that kind of led into the Ash part. And that's what made me, like, super organic, and I'm just very happy. I'm very happy to have something like that. It came at a perfect time for literally, again, pardon the pun, my next chapter.
There you go.
And this is like, okay, now you're the teacher. The OG. I rather
student
that.
became the teacher.
Right. And I'm still doing what I do. So for me, my management and marketing is my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
My 6 to 12 is me building my brand, the book. You know, we're doing a live event February 27th in Boston that I'm excited about. Melani's moderating it, which is going to be fire.
Beautiful.
And see, the way I work is like, I try to mix and match, and I like to see, I want people to see Melanie in that light too.
In that element.
Right.
Yes.
Because I know Melanie, people know Melanie from social media.
Right.
Same thing with Chicla. Like, I know them. And I think this is dope for people to see Melanie in that aspect.
Even for them, there's a next chapter too.
Oh, yeah.
Their business skills, their business etiquette and all that stuff. Yeah. You know why this is so inspiring in me, man? Because this is inspiring to me because at some point, and this is the first time I'm gonna say this on the podcast, but I want to have a book out. I want to create a book And there's different elements in my life, like from growing up, South Jamaica, Queens, the Bronx, military, why I left to the military, coming back. There's therapy in there. There's podcasting in there. It's like, in my mind, in the future, I do want to write a book. So this is very, very inspiring to me to hear you say, you know, I've gotten to the point in my life where I could like, I'm looking at something I created, and this is kind of like the footprint to everything that you have learned thus far in this industry.
And that's why I don't know if you had seen, but I always remember where I came from and why I'm here. So at my 50th birthday, I got that cover. I put it in a plaque, and I gave it to Chicle.
Beautiful.
And because I told him, without him, I don't get here. Like, I'm not in this industry. I was literally not doing any, like, I had started a baseball team. Like, I was so, once I left the music industry, like, I forgot to fast forward, whatever. But, you know, had a reality show with one of my artists on Fuse. We had an 8-episode deal.
Nice.
We thought it was going to be second season. Didn't happen. And I kind of went through a very mild depression. I was like 40. I was like, damn, I'm not 21 anymore. And what's going on? I'm going to leave the music. And then I, you know, took my other love. I started a baseball team with a parent and 2 coaches.
There you go.
And then organically, you know, went and Chicle, like, he'll tell you, I got Myq back in his bag. And that's literally what happened. And I'll never forget that because, again, without him, I'm not in this industry. First of all, I'm not managing anybody without him when it comes to this. And I don't get back into, oh, shit, this is me. And I don't get back into relationship and just doing what I do. So I wanted him to understand how important that was for me. And, bro, I'm 19 years older than he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll always remember and respect, and I always, you know, give him his due.
You know, the lessons that I'm capturing here is never stop pursuing your passion, right? Because you said you did work in the industry for a long time, and then it's kind of like you was dealing with a minor depression in your 40s. You had probably stopped doing and was trying to figure it out. But in you pursuing and continuously pursuing your passion in a different way, look how God lines things up for you. Like,
Organic, bro.
Organically, definitely. That's amazing, man. Are there any myths that the book, The Content to Cash Bible, debunks? About cash and this industry, money influencing?
I don't know if it's like that type of, like, where it debunks anything. I think what happens is that when you read this book, you're like, holy shit, this really is a business. And it breaks down like positions and when you need a manager and like you should get, you know, there's agents and there's all these different things. And then Ash brings in, okay, once you have this money, it's like, okay, this would be the, you know, life insurance because this is how this works. It is a blueprint. It really is a blueprint. And I've always been from a helping aspect. That's what I want. I'm not concerned. This book was not to be the gold mine. Right. This was the entry. And Ash, I forgot what his 4 E's are, but this was entry. Right. And we're working on building a course for this that would be like, you know, video aspect of it, live events, clearly. But like I said, this book is just really, hey, some people just want to start in this industry. Let me get the foundation, because some things people know. Even when I was on this little book run, and I still do that, like my special deliveries where and do stuff and read the book. You may know some things, you may not. You may know all. But like I said, it's really for you have the Bible. Go back to it. I remember Wavy had done that, and when he talked, you know, to the camera, he was like, "It's the Bible. You got to go back to it. You got to highlight, you know." And those are kind of some of the things that you get. But I'm proud of it.
They say if you ever read the Bible and you go back and read it, you'll capture different jewels.
Yeah,
I'm glad there's a book that kind of like references exactly what you may be going through in your content creating career. And you can always pinpoint and reference and highlight and stuff like that. But my last question for you, the younger version of yourself, right? you don't know anything, any of this, the book, the success, or you even becoming Myq Success at that, you see someone else going through the same struggles you went through. What's your advice for them?
Give it time. It's always in your time. You know, I'm 50. I wish I was here at 25, but that wasn't my book. I remember speaking to my man Reggie. I call him my spiritual brother when I was working 9 to 5, and I never forget where I was. I could tell you exactly where I was walking, what street I was crossing.
Wow.
And I was like, yo, bro, when is this gonna happen? Like, I can't be here, like all this type of stuff. He's like, Myq, you gotta understand, you're asking God for something very, very special. Like, you're not asking for, hey, let me just get a job. You're trying to change the world. You're trying to do all these things. You got to let God do what God does. And that's stuck with me. And I could have never, I wanted to be here, but I still got a long way to go for 100%. What I want. For me, again, success is a funny word too. I'm big on that. We all have words, and the dictionary has a definition, but we all have our own interpretations of that word. So success to you might be a job,
right,
and doing a pod and maybe making some money from it. It's cool. Yeah. That's success. And your family, success.
Right.
Success to me might be 7 Lamborghinis and 2 private jets. Yeah. But that's okay. And somebody else's might be, I just want to get a family. I just want to have a son.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, those words, they're interpreted. Work, consistency, all have different, love, all have different definitions. And that's going to probably be, and I got to speak to Ash about it, because this is a business book.
Yeah.
I want to do a life book. Like, I have something called, that I talk about with levels and helps in relationships on understanding each other. Like I always say, we're too busy trying to define everybody. We got to start understanding each other more, and that becomes more healthy relationships all across the board, business and personal.
You know what therapy has taught me? You hit it in the head right there. I have to learn how the other person interprets the information that I'm
1,000%
giving you. So it's not about just you yelling your information. You got to also learn how the other person communicates as well. It's very important, man. Myq, thank you so much for joining the pod, man. Thank you for talking about parenting specifically. I know that's kind of like the gist of the podcast.
Yeah.
And I am super excited to see what the next chapter for you looks like. Thank you for sharing your story, your upbringing. I know we talked a little bit about everything, including, of course, the book. But I'm glad that the conversation was just not only about that. It was definitely about life.
Yeah, that's corny to me.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Like, I like to meet people and have these conversations. And, yes, there's a book. Great, fantastic. Yeah. But I'm here. I told you, and you see it. It's energy, bro. It's relationships.
Since he got here 20 minutes early, by the way.
You know what I'm saying?
He's living what he's
just saying.
You know what I'm saying? He's living what he's saying. Exactly.
You know
what I'm saying? He got here. Energy was right. Brought something to drink, of course. But we had some good coffee as well. Myq, anything you would like to say to the camera at this point, where they can find you, where they can find your book, your next events?
Okay. You can find me at Myq Success. I spell my name differently. It's MYQ and the word success. That's on all socials. The book, go to Amazon and Content to Cash Bible. You get it there, or comment the word content or book on any of my pods. See, manifesting.
That's the next one right there, baby.
On any of my posts, book will get sent to you. The link to buy that. And then February 27th, if you're in Boston, I don't know if it's coming out by then, whatever. But Boston, we have a live event. And the last thing I'll tell anybody in this space, just understand, this is a saying I live by. Ideas are great, but execution is a whole lot better.
Bingo, and we'll leave it with that. And to everyone supporting the pod, I love you. Continue to support, continue to listen, continue to subscribe. Love you all. Thank you, Myq, for coming.
Of course,
it was amazing having you. Great conversation. Everybody, peace.
Peace. We got to change the fire. We got to change the lock.